We're back.
Double coverage, double coverage, double coverage.
Mama, we made it.
The network picked us up. We're like established now.
We need the signs that says like clap, cheer, laugh.
J-Mac here, D-Mac to the right. Welcome to Double Coverage.
Mama, we made it.
What's up, everybody? We're back. Double coverage with the McCourty twins. I'm your host, J-Mac. My sidekick over here to my left.
D-Mac, I'm here, man. I'm not really a sidekick. I'm more like the run of everything, but I just let you start it off because I'm very respectful.
As you guys know, we're here weekly on NESN. In addition to that, you can find our podcast if you want to see the video version on YouTube. The audio version is on iTunes. And as always, keep up with us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of that stuff at McCourty Twins. And as always, you can check out our website, McCourtyTwins.com.
And obviously, we're coming back off a long trip. And it's always tough because it leads into that next week. Now, it's longer. You know, we play Sunday night. You get back Monday morning around 8 a.m. So it's always a tough transition. But this is obviously even a bigger one coming back off what we went through. Obviously a tough loss, but a lot of our prayers and our heart is with our guy, James White, and his family of what they're dealing with. And, you know, you can tell a lot of guys in the locker room was just feeling for him and just wanted to show that they loved him. So we still continue to pray for him.
Yeah, without a doubt. Definitely tough to deal with. And there's no words that you can say to somebody to help them through that. The best thing you can do is just be there for him. So James knows we're here, and his family knows that myself, Devin, and the rest of our team are going to be there to support him.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one of the things that was cool to see for us, I think as teammates, as brotherhood, is just going out there and competing.
Without a doubt.
You go, obviously, across the country playing against a really good football team. And we talked about it all week, which is kind of crazy. We talked about these games historically against Seattle come down to the last play or two. Mm-hmm. And we're like, it's ups and downs. We jump out, obviously, to a 7-zip lead.
Courtesy of your pick six.
I like it. Pound me up.
Yes,
there
sir.
we go. And then they come right back, march down, score. Then we take a 14. It was just back and forth. Yeah. And even as they, you know, probably people were watching like, man, Seattle's running away. We still give ourselves a chance. And I would say as a captain and as a guy who's been here for a long time, that was exciting and good to see, I think, from a team aspect.
Yeah, and I think early on in the season, you're still figuring out your identity as a team. You're trying to build that, and you're trying to come together. You know, this is my third year here, and this is the most change we've probably had. So you're going into a season with a new quarterback, a lot of new receivers, some new guys on defense. And I think that game Sunday night kind of proved to ourselves, hey, we have the fight, we have the wherewithal. There's going to be obviously a ton of corrections from that game. I know myself, I wish I'd played better, and I know there's a lot of guys that will look back and say, hey, I could have did this, I could have done that. So I think we just have to continue to work, continue to improve, and we have what it takes in our room to be the team we want to be. Now it's just going to be how fast can we improve and how fast can we get down on the field on Sundays.
And how much sleep did you get last night? What are we working with?
Right now, I'm working
how much sleep did you get after the game?
Yeah. Right now I'm working on 3 hours and 15 minutes. So my eyes, you know how you get that hurt in your eyes when you feel like they've been open too long? That's what I'm dealing with.
When you take those trips, can you sleep on the plane? Did you get any sleep?
No, it's tough, man. I'm watching TV shows like on Amazon Prime, The Boys. I watched the first season and the second season. Random Netflix movies. Just trying to watch something. I watched Bombshell on the plane too. That was actually a pretty good movie.
I didn't watch that, but for anybody, if you're looking for a new show, Amazon Prime, The Boys. It's pretty solid. Don't worry about what it's about. Just watch the first episode.
Unless you're a kid. It's probably rated R. Then you don't watch it.
But as you guys can see, what I'm repping today, a little Rutgers action. You know?
Big Ten football is back. This whole college football thing is crazy. Like,
we're not playing football. That's final. They said we're not playing football.
But everybody else is.
That's what the Big Ten said.
But then everybody else is. So now we have to play because everybody else is playing.
So should we just lose all this money or should we jump back in and play? Let's make some money.
They're playing.
So Rutgers will kick off the season. Funniest thing in the locker room. Shalik Calhoun, Brian Hoyer, Michigan State guys. Never say a word in the locker room about sorry Michigan State. They don't have anyone to talk trash to. Only thing, every once in a while when basketball season pops up, they might say something. Soon as the schedule comes out, I'm in the cafeteria. Hoyer's like, well, we got Rutgers first game. I'm walking out of a meeting. Shalik turns around. Oh, what you want to do with that Rutgers game? I'm like, fellas, like, let's take a chill pill.
Yeah, Rutgers, we're just trying to get back, man. Shiano's there. We're trying to figure some things out. So it may be a abbreviated season where as alum, we kind of just stay low and we just let it build up for the future seasons.
I don't know. I think I'm getting into some early trash talking. Like, I like us versus Michigan State.
You talk trash. That's all you do. So
I mean, yeah. So like, we'll see how it goes. I got a good inside connect with some of the coaches there. Played football with them at Rutgers and in the NFL with some of those guys. So
what was crazy, speaking of the NFL, was this past Sunday, there were a ton of injuries that went on. I mean, I felt like San Francisco had a quarter of their team go down with injuries, starting with the quarterback, Garoppolo, Bosa, Solomon, Morstead ended up getting hurt. There was just so many guys that got hurt.
And I don't know if you've seen, sticking to that game, Armstead came out and said there was something wrong. Like, he complained about the field at MetLife. He was, and then the NFL came out today and said each field is tested before the season starts, and then it said it's tested. I want to say it says 72 hours before the game to make sure. And they said it's up to par. And, you know, for the last couple of years, that's been even an argument of, are those guidelines and those standards even high enough to put our professional athletes on those fields. So injuries happen, but like, as you read those names, Barr towards pec, Hooker towards Achilles, Sutton a ACL, Bruce Irvin in our game a ACL, Locke a collarbone. Like, it was just like
major injuries.
You're watching, you're like, these guys are going to be out for a while. Tavon Young, the corner from Baltimore, who was hurt before, comes back, and he tore his ACL yesterday. Man. Anytime you see some of the league's best go down, I think as a fan and even as a player, you just hate to see that, you know. And I think a lot of this started off kind of with Von Miller before the season when he got hurt. But it's what we talked about, you know, going into this season. We had no offseason, no preseason games, but even bigger than preseason, we had this like abbreviated kind of training camp where it was all like, you know, we're going to build up, but we're not going to add time. So it's been very interesting to just kind of figure out how this is going to play out. But I think in the beginning, everyone knew we would have more injuries than previous years.
And speaking of health, I mean, you look at college football. I saw Dominique Foxworth talked about it on TV. College football is coming back, but he said, who's there advocating for the players? 20 years from now, the backup offensive lineman who maybe got COVID during this time, because we got to assume a lot of the college players have COVID when you hear Coach O and LSU say, hey, our whole team got it, so hopefully everybody's good now and they won't get it anymore.
And he didn't say good for their health. He said good that they
won't miss any game. But he did let us know that he's not a doctor, so that was important. But it's just, you hear Foxworth's words, and it's just like, it's so true. That backup player that maybe 20 years from now is still dealing with the aftermath of getting COVID during this time. Does he get any type of medical care? Is there anybody that's going to take care of his bills? You know what I mean? Is there workers' comp for him? No, because he's an amateur and he's a student. So I think it's awesome. The words he said were so true. It's awesome to see football back. There's so many kids chasing their dreams. There's so many fans that love the game. But you just got to try to make sure. I mean, when you hear colleges say almost our whole team got it, and we're playing football right now, and we haven't had a guy get it, and we've been doing it for weeks. It's kind of scary, you know?
Yeah, and I guess we'll kind of see how it all works out, because I think even when you ask these kids, like, they want to play football. And I think in our society and in sports, usually something happens to then create some type of new format. So I'll be interested to see. Obviously, the players won't have a players' union like we have, but will they build some type of bridge or advocacy for players to have just some type of representation that someone can say, hey, you know, these guys are young. Let's give them a voice and give them someone that can help them and help them kind of get through and pave the way with some of these tough decisions.
Dad, what you got?
What better than when you talk about keeping it awesome than picking a prime time player? We're going with Deion Sanders, announces a new Jackson State head football coach. And in true primetime fashion, if you didn't check this out, you got to jump on the computer and Google it. But he came in full police escort, came in the back of the SUV. Everybody gets out. They open his door. He gets out his kids, his wife with him, holding hands, gets up there for the introductory press conference. And it's cool to see because he starts his career off going to HBCU, a school that, maybe he starts to bring some top recruits in there. Like, who wouldn't want to play for Primetime, especially if you play in the secondary? So it'll be interesting to see. I think that was a good thing. He's talked about coaching at the college level for a while, so it's great as a player to see him get that opportunity.
Without a doubt, a lot of players go into college playing football with the hopes of getting to the next level. Who better than a guy that did it at the college level and then a Hall of Fame player, a guy that has continued to do it and has continued to be in the spotlight. He can obviously pass on a lot of information to the younger generation. So
definitely. So good luck to you, Primetime. But without further ado, we want to get right into this. We have your Twitter questions of the week coming up right here.
Yeah. What is it? Mr. 1986. When looking at tapes and wanting to correct an error, how do you approach the correction when the error wasn't yours?
Yeah, and I think this is key because whenever we talk about breaking down the film, we watch it and we watch it all together. So we're not just correcting a Jason McCourty mistake or a Devin McCourty mistake. We're correcting a mistake that's going to happen again. But in football, most of the time, it won't be you again. It'll be somebody new at that role. So it's not about like me telling you you're wrong. It's about as we're watching this film, we're all watching and it's like, hey, as we teach off of it, it's for the whole room. And a lot of times, like in our room, the corners and safeties are together. But something could happen to a corner and the corners might all be listening. But the safeties need to be listening too because that can happen to them in our different defenses. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Different defenses.
I think that's a good point. It's not anything personal. It's just trying to continue to improve as a team.
Yeah. Our next question is from Patriots POV. What were you guys interested in as kids other than football?
I would say basketball, video games. In school, I loved math, science. Probably the same for him. But yeah, I think for us, we love sports. So it wasn't just football. We were out in the backyard playing kickball, wiffle ball, tag, anything where we can be active. We were all about. But some of our most competitive matches came in one-on-one basketball. We literally would play one-on-one basketball until it ended in a fight or mom broke it up because it was getting too physical. We wouldn't keep score. We would just go back and forth at each other. And second to that was video games. We wouldn't break a controller because if we broke a controller, we knew we weren't getting another one. But those video games would usually end in fights as well. And having twin boys, we said on the show last week, Mom always said if we fought, it was definitely going to end with her being the winner of the fight. So we learned how to keep it kind of
and I would say one thing that we didn't have a choice. One of our biggest interests was schoolwork because we were those kids in the neighborhood when we got home from school and everybody went straight outside to play. Our mom stopped us at the door and was like, finish all your homework and then you can go outside. So
A's or B's or you don't play in the game.
So that was always an interest for us. We didn't have much of a choice. If we did, we would have went straight to video games or straight outside. And one other thing I'll add in there was riding our bikes as kids.
Yeah, my oldest has just learned how to ride her bike without the training wheel. So
okay, that's a big step for dads, man.
Owen's mine. It's a simple question. White or blue jerseys?
I'm going to go to new blue jerseys.
Oh, I'm always the white jerseys.
Well, why I say this is a couple years ago, Thursday Night Football, we're in Tampa. We throw on those same white jerseys that we had on. Maybe they're like a little different, but we threw on the white pants. I felt so fast that night in South Florida running around in all white. But now we did white with the blue pants. Still cool,
but not the same.
The all blue is just, you can't go wrong. I'm still hoping for all blue, the royal blue jerseys to bring that out. Well, the blue with the silver, like, I want to see that. We're going to preview next week. We got the Las Vegas Raiders.
Las Vegas.
Coming in town. Hopefully they'll be coming in town straight off the slot machines and gambling and be a little tired. But we'll have
West Coast trip.
We'll have a tough matchup coming here at home against a team that has really gotten off and played good football so far in this early part of the season. I think what all teams are trying to do, and over the last couple of years, I think people have talked about them being a younger team, and they've surely built through the draft or free agency. When you look at guys like Ruggs and Waller, and then with Jacobs, they have some younger guys that have come in, and even Joyner bringing him in, been in a winning situation a little bit and been around some other, good cultures in San Francisco. So just trying to make sure we get all that stuff going and figuring all of that out.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, too, we're both coming off long weeks. You know, we took a West Coast trip all the way to Seattle. Then you had to come back. You have that kind of sluggish Monday where you get back early in the morning. You got to work through it throughout that week to get ready now for the game coming this Sunday. Them having played Monday night, then having to make a West Coast trip like we did last week, it's a longer week for them as well. So a lot of things come into play in this game. For us, obviously, we're coming off a loss, so we want this to be our bounce back game. You know, we want to get back on the winning side. We got to, like you always say, we got to refuel the tank and be able to unleash it on Sunday. So that's the plan for this week. And we got to get to know these guys too. You know, it's a team that we don't get to play often. I think, when's the last time you guys played against them?
I think 2017 in Mexico City.
Yeah, and how many of those guys are the same?
It's like a totally different team, you know what I mean? I even look at like a guy like CP, Cordarrelle Patterson was on their team, and like he was a guy we talked about a lot. Marshawn Lynch was the starting running back on that team. So it's just different. Jared Cook was the starting tight end. These are all really good players. You know, CP ended up coming playing for us the next year. But it just shows, you know, in this league.
Oh, I was a part of it in Tennessee where you get a new head coach, you get a new GM, and for them to have John Gruden there, just got Mike Mayock. So when those things happen, they want to get their players in, the guys that they believe will change the franchise around and get it going the way they want to get it going. So obviously this is a kind of a new team. They just moved, just built a whole new stadium in Las Vegas. Our guy Trent Brown is there as well, one of the highest paid offensive tackles. So it'll be good. It's always fun to compete against guys that you play with. So that'll definitely be fun on Sunday.
Your quarterback will be there, your former quarterback.
Yeah, my guy Mariota.
Yeah, Super Mario is what they call him,
Yeah,
right?
man, ton of respect for that guy, man. He does it the right way. So.
Yeah, so and we didn't mention, but it would be good to get back home, and I think it even makes us one step closer to hopefully having fans, you know, in our next home game. So I think we'll be excited, even though there won't be fans there. We know the excitement they have and they would have entering that stadium to try to get us that win coming off a loss.
Yeah, definitely. Well, speaking about this past weekend, who would you say won and lost? You know what? I'm going to take who lost the weekend. I'm going to go with the NFL. And not because anyone specifically did something in this case, but just because of the rash of injuries that we saw take place last week. Major injuries to major guys. You know, Saquon Barkley, Bosa, guys that are superstars that the fans are all wearing their jerseys in the stands. You hate to see it, and I just feel like so many people dropped the ball. You know, COVID hitting in March, us not really having a plan until sometime in June, July. There just wasn't enough of a sense of urgency to figure this thing out. So that way we could have had a more normal training camp. And who knows? I can't directly finger point and say, hey, that's the reason there are more injuries. But you can kind of say that, hey, this may have something to do with it.
Definitely. And 2011 showed us when there was no offseason, it was a lockout, injury spike.
Yeah.
This was even worse because we had no
off-season,
offseason and you had nowhere to train because everything was closed.
Yeah.
So we knew there would be a spike, but this is always tough to see. And I'll go into who won the weekend. If you got your computer, if you got your cell phone, Trayshawn Willis, a high school quarterback with one arm, scored 6 touchdowns in the game.
6 touchdowns.
3 through the air, 3 on the ground. And it was impressive to see. He's a righty guy. His right arm, he's throwing the ball. He has kind of a nub a little above the elbow on the left arm. So he's in that shotgun. He's tossing it, moving around, scrambling, creating time to find guys. And then when he does run, guys are kind of bouncing off him. He's a bigger kid, runs hard. So it was cool to see. And like we always talk about, it's always about inspiring people after you. And that's what Trayshawn's doing. So
that's what sports is all about, man.
Please, if you have time, a young kid, anyone, just show him this video, show him the article. The guy's doing great things.
Athletes are doing so much more in our society. Who would you say would get your more than an athlete award for this week?
This week, Alabama's women's soccer team, a player by Taylor Morgan is her name. So it was a group of people who kneeled.
Players and team managers.
Yeah, for Alabama soccer team. But I thought she was very interesting because she's biracial and she spoke about she took a knee for her reasons. It had nothing to do with the flag or the military. Says she has a brother and a father who served in the military. And she said she took a knee for them because they are black. And she says she understands how being biracial, she sometimes has different privileges because of one side of who she is. So I thought it was very interesting. A lot of backlash.
Yeah.
But no surprise, Megan Rapinoe, Sydney LaRue,
Sydney LaRue
Dwyer reached out and let her know that she had their support. So it was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, our women's soccer team has been leading the way on a lot of things. You know, they're not afraid
And
to
our
stand
WNBA
up.
is-
For sure.
Shout out to women.
The women in our country are not afraid to stand up for what they believe. And I think that's awesome for two players of that stature to show their support to a younger generation. That's what it's all about, man.
Megan Rapinoe can do no wrong.
Can do no wrong.
Girlfriend Suberg, kick game she kills. So elite couple right there.
Definitely. Well, appreciate you guys tuning in with us for another week right here on NESN. And as you know, every week you can find us here. And in the meantime, you can go on YouTube, iTunes, check out our podcast, and keep up with us on all the social media platforms. So appreciate you guys for tuning in.
Sorry, no guest this week. The long week and everything threw us off. But shoot us a quick hit us up on Twitter or Instagram. Tell us who you would like to see, and we'll try to get them on.
Yep, sounds good. See you guys next week.